Beneath the restless waves of the Atlantic, there lies a city no map has ever marked. For centuries, it has remained untouched by time, hidden from human eyes. Streets, houses, and gardens lie perfectly preserved, yet silent. No fish swim through its streets, no wind disturbs its towers. One day, a lone fisherman stumbles upon its shimmering entrance, and the moment he steps inside, the ocean itself seems to hold its breath. What he discovers there will unravel a story lost to history, a city forgotten, yet alive in whispers beneath the waves. Hey guys, tonight we begin with so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here, and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Imagine the Atlantic Ocean on a quiet afternoon. The water stretches endlessly, soft waves glimmering in the sunlight, moving in gentle, hypnotic patterns. Arif, a fisherman by trade, rows slowly over the calm surface, the creak of his small wooden boat blending into the rhythm of the sea. The horizon is a slow gradient of gold and violet, and for hours, nothing breaks the quiet except the occasional gull or the faint splash of a fish. Life feels suspended in this moment. Arif's mind drifts, half to thoughts of home, half to the endless stretch of water. Then, something shifts. Beneath the surface, a faint shimmer appears. At first, he thinks it's sunlight reflecting off waves, but the shimmer remains steady, almost deliberate. Arif leans closer, squinting, heart slowing with a calm curiosity. The shapes below are too regular to be natural. Straight lines, sharp angles, symmetry, the outline of streets and buildings. Arif's breath catches. The water seems to pause around this place. No fish swim nearby, no seaweed drifts past. The shimmer grows brighter as he peers downward. It is a city, completely intact, lying beneath the waves, yet untouched by water. He anchors his boat and studies it. The streets form grids, the buildings stand with precision, and a tiny garden glows faintly, almost magically. Even the smallest details, broken signs, the edge of a cobblestone street, are preserved perfectly. Arif feels an irresistible pull. Slowly, he dips a hand into the water. It doesn't wet him in the usual way, it is cool, almost like stepping into another air, dense but breathable. He leans further, mesmerized, and notices the streets continuing into the depths. The city stretches farther than he could imagine, vast, silent, and unyielding. He carefully lowers himself into the water. Each step is measured, deliberate. Stones beneath his feet are smooth, cold, yet strangely warm to the touch. The streets are empty. No inhabitants, no signs of life, yet it feels alive. As he moves through the city, Arif notices subtle details. The faint sound of air moving through narrow alleys, like the city itself breathing. Windows perfectly aligned, yet not reflecting light the way they should. Gardens with flowers that seem to glow faintly, untouched by water, untouched by time. A whisper seems to drift through the silent streets. The last who came, never left. Arif pauses, heart steadying, mind calm. The city does not demand or threaten. It merely exists, patient, eternal. Time here is slow. Every movement, every sound, is absorbed into the rhythm of the city. Hours pass, or perhaps minutes, Arif cannot tell. He walks further, exploring streets lined with old shops and stone houses. The city seems suspended, outside of the world, outside of time itself. Finally, he reaches a central plaza. A tall tower rises above the streets, its stones smooth and dark, yet glowing faintly. At the base, a door carved with symbols he does not recognize stands slightly ajar. It seems to wait, silently, for him to step inside. Arif pauses. His life above the waves, his home, his routine, the world he knew, feels distant. Here, in the quiet heartbeat of this submerged city, he senses something older, wiser, almost sentient. A presence that watches, waits, and tests. Slowly, carefully, he steps toward the door, feeling a gentle tug, not of fear, but of curiosity and wonder. And so begins the journey into the sunken city of silence, a place untouched by history above, yet preserved perfectly in its own quiet world beneath the waves. Arif's hand lingered on the carved stone door, its surface cool and smooth under his fingers. The symbols were strange, etched in a style he had never seen before, yet they seemed familiar in a way he could not explain. He took a deep breath, the salty air of the surface fading behind him, replaced by the faint, almost imperceptible scent of stone and old gardens. Pushing the door open, he entered a hall that stretched far into shadow, yet the darkness felt soft, almost protective. Light came from nowhere he could see, illuminating the walls in a pale, bluish glow. As he walked, the floor beneath him hummed ever so faintly, as if responding to his steps. The city was alive, he realized, not in any way he had ever known, but alive in rhythm, in quiet observation. The streets beyond were wide and orderly, cobblestones set perfectly, worn smooth by time he could not measure. Windows, some open, some closed, reflected the faint glow of the city around them. Doors creaked softly in a breeze he could not feel. Small gardens lay scattered between houses, flowers pale and glowing, untouched by water, untouched by decay. The air itself was still, yet it carried a whispering hum, a quiet, steady pulse that seemed to echo in his chest. Arif wandered slowly, taking in the details, each step deliberate. Statues lined certain streets, some crumbling slightly at the edges, yet the faces were clear, serene, their eyes seeming to follow him without judgment. The city was empty, yet he did not feel alone. There was a patience here, a careful, deliberate waiting that filled him with calm rather than fear. As he walked deeper, he came upon a small plaza. The space was open, paved with larger stones, and in its center was a fountain of carved marble. No water flowed from it, yet the stones shimmered faintly, as if remembering the flow that once had been. Around the plaza, buildings rose taller than the rest, their roofs sharp and perfect. He noticed faint etchings along the walls, patterns that suggested stories, perhaps histories of those who had built or lived here long ago. Arif moved carefully, aware that every step seemed to draw the city's attention, though not in a threatening way. The quiet streets stretched into avenues that seemed to spiral and fold into themselves. Sometimes he would glance down a street and see a tiny light flicker at the far end, though no lamps or fires existed. It was as if the city itself breathed slowly, letting him glimpse its heartbeat. He passed an archway leading into a narrow alley, and here the silence became almost sacred. The stones beneath his feet absorbed every sound, softening even the scrape of his boots. He noticed faint patterns on the walls, strange but elegant, telling a story he could not yet read. A small doorway led into a tiny house. Inside, furniture lay exactly where it had been left, a small table set with plates and cups, untouched by time. It was as if the people who once lived here had stepped out only moments ago, though he knew they had long vanished. The further he went, the more he felt a sense of rhythm, a pulse that was not his own. It was the city's heartbeat, subtle yet constant, guiding him through streets and squares, across bridges and along gardens that glimmered faintly in the strange light. He realized this city had been designed not merely to be walked through, but to be felt, to be experienced, to teach a quiet patience to anyone who entered. Eventually, he reached another plaza, larger and quieter than the first. In the center stood a tower, tall and imposing, carved from stone that seemed to hum softly beneath his touch. At its base was a doorway, closed but inviting. A low whisper, almost carried by the stone itself, seemed to reach his ears. Walk carefully. Observe. Learn the rhythm of time. Arif paused, listening to the faint murmur of the city. There was no fear in it, only expectation, a gentle encouragement. Every step he had taken seemed to lead him here, to this tower, to this place where time itself waited for him to notice it. And as he stepped closer, the city seemed to settle around him, each street, garden, and building glowing softly, in perfect harmony with the slow, steady pulse he could feel deep in his chest. He understood then that the city had not been abandoned, it had been waiting, patient, eternal, for someone who would move slowly enough to notice, carefully enough to understand, and quietly enough to be embraced by its rhythm. Arif's hand lingered on the cold stone of the tower doorway. The pulse of the city beneath his feet seemed to grow stronger here, a quiet, rhythmic thrum that matched the slow rise and fall of his own breathing. He stepped inside, and the world changed. The interior was dimly lit by a soft, ambient glow that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The floor beneath him was smooth, worn by footsteps he could not see, yet each stone resonated faintly, as if remembering the people who had walked here long ago. The air was cool and still, carrying the scent of damp stone and something else, something older, something almost like memory itself. Arif moved slowly, careful not to disturb the perfect silence. The hallway stretched far ahead, lined with alcoves and narrow corridors. Each step echoed faintly, though the sound was softened, absorbed by the walls. Shadows shifted gently as he walked, but there was no threat, no fear. Only calm. Only quiet attention. He noticed carvings along the walls, intricate patterns that seemed to tell stories, histories of a world long forgotten. Figures moved through these patterns, people tending gardens, walking through streets, sitting quietly in homes. The carvings were silent, yet alive, capturing gestures and moments with such delicate precision that Arif felt he could almost step into them. As he explored, he came upon a spiral staircase leading upward. Its steps were narrow, each carved from a single block of stone, polished smooth by centuries. The staircase wound upward, but time seemed to slow as he ascended. The city's heartbeat echoed in the walls, drawing him gently, guiding his careful steps. At the top, he emerged into a small chamber with high ceilings. Light filtered in softly from narrow slits in the stone, illuminating a single object in the center, a crystalline globe, faintly glowing, suspended above a pedestal. It pulsed gently, in harmony with the city itself, and Arif felt an almost magnetic pull toward it. As he approached, he realized the globe was not merely stone or crystal. It seemed to contain motion, faintly shifting shapes, like the slow movement of clouds or water currents trapped inside. He reached out and touched it. A soft hum filled his mind, not audible but felt, vibrating gently in his thoughts. It was as though the city itself were speaking, softly, carefully, guiding him to observe and remember. Arif stepped back and slowly circled the chamber. The walls were lined with bookshelves, filled with scrolls and manuscripts that seemed older than time itself. Their pages were delicate, yet perfectly preserved, filled with symbols and illustrations he could not yet understand. Each shelf, each scroll, seemed to resonate with the same quiet pulse, as if the city were holding its knowledge in its very walls. He lingered here, moving slowly from object to object, absorbing the atmosphere. The city encouraged patience, teaching him the rhythm of its life. Each breath, each heartbeat, became a part of the city's quiet flow. There was no rush, no urgency. Only the slow, deliberate unfolding of a world hidden beneath the waves, eternal, untouched, and waiting. Hours, or perhaps minutes, passed. The chamber seemed to stretch endlessly in time, the light soft, the pulse steady. Arif understood that this city was not meant to be conquered or hurried. It existed to be observed, felt, and remembered, teaching those who entered the art of patience, the beauty of quiet, and the rhythm of history preserved in silence. Finally, he stepped back from the globe. Its faint pulse remained, as steady as the ocean itself. He realized he could linger here forever, yet there were more streets to explore, more corners of the city that had remained hidden for centuries. Slowly, carefully, he descended the spiral staircase, leaving the whispering halls of the tower behind, ready to continue his journey deeper into the sunken city of silence. Arif stepped out from the tower, the cool air of the city brushing against his skin. The streets stretched out in perfect order, their stones smooth and faintly glimmering in the city's gentle, ambient light. He walked slowly, savoring each step, letting the calm rhythm of the city guide him deeper into its heart. Soon, he reached a vast square. Its size was immense, wider than anything he had imagined. The stones of the plaza were arranged in intricate patterns, geometric shapes that seemed to pulse faintly, echoing the subtle heartbeat of the city. At the center stood a fountain, carved from white stone. There was no water, yet the fountain shimmered softly, as if a memory of flowing water lingered within it. Arif leaned closer, placing a hand on the cold marble. A quiet warmth spread through him, almost as if the city were acknowledging his presence. Around the square, buildings rose in perfect symmetry, some taller than others, their rooftops reaching toward the faint light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Windows were open and closed in a rhythm he could not understand, reflecting faint glimpses of streets he had not yet explored. From the square, paths led to gardens. Arif followed one, stepping carefully over stone bridges that arched over dry channels. The gardens were astonishing. Flowers of colors he had never seen bloomed in perfect order. Trees stood tall, their leaves rustling softly despite the absence of wind. The city had preserved these gardens as if time itself had paused, yet they radiated a quiet life, a pulse in sync with the city's own heartbeat. He wandered slowly through the gardens, noticing tiny details, the way sunlight, or whatever light illuminated this hidden world, caught on a single petal, the gentle curve of a branch, the faint glow of moss on the stones. There were benches and small tables, as if someone had sat there long ago, yet now the silence was absolute. No insects, no birds, not even a breeze disturbed the peace. It was a calm unlike anything he had ever experienced. At the far edge of the garden, he discovered another small building. Its door was slightly ajar, inviting without a sound. Inside, he found shelves lined with jars, each containing a faint glow of light. Arif touched one, and memories flickered across his mind, fleeting images of people, streets, and festivals long forgotten above the waves. The city seemed to store not only structures, but histories, preserving lives in its silent spaces. Moving on, Arif wandered back into the streets, feeling the city's pulse stronger than before. He noticed that the layout of the streets and plazas seemed deliberate, almost as if guiding him somewhere. The farther he walked, the more he felt that the city was observing him, not with eyes, but with a quiet awareness, a careful patience that demanded no action, no rush, only presence. Eventually, he reached another garden, smaller, hidden between buildings. A faint shimmer appeared among the flowers, not water, not light, but something he could not name. He stepped closer, and a soft whisper filled the air, not audible but understood, observe. Learn. Walk slowly, for time here flows differently. Arif closed his eyes for a moment, letting the city speak through silence. Every stone, every leaf, every glowing flower seemed alive, teaching him the rhythm of a world untouched by human haste. He realized that the sunken city of silence was not just a city, it was a living memory, a space where history itself could breathe. Hours, or perhaps minutes, passed as he drifted through the quiet streets and gardens. The calm settled over him like a gentle tide, pulling him deeper into the city's rhythm. Every step became a meditation, every breath synchronized with the slow heartbeat of this hidden world beneath the waves. As night, or the equivalent of night in this timeless place, fell, Arif paused at the edge of the garden, looking back at the central square. The fountain glowed faintly, the streets shimmered, and the city seemed to sigh in quiet satisfaction. He knew that each step he took from here would lead him further into mysteries even older and more profound, into the very heart of the sunken city of silence. Arif left the quiet gardens behind and walked deeper into the city. The streets seemed to stretch endlessly, each one turning gently into another, like a series of quiet streams flowing in a deliberate pattern. He felt no sense of urgency, only a gentle pull forward, as if the city itself guided him through its silent streets. The cobblestones beneath his feet glimmered faintly, reflecting the soft, ambient light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Every building he passed was pristine, yet old, as if time had paused here centuries ago. Doors, windows, and balconies remained intact, untouched by decay. Even the smallest cracks in the stone walls glowed faintly, like a whisper of memory preserved forever. Arif noticed subtle details that seemed to invite careful attention. Tiny alcoves contained statues, their expressions calm and serene, frozen in quiet thought. Fountains without water glimmered softly, their empty basins pulsing with the same rhythm he had felt from the city itself. Occasionally, a narrow alley opened into a hidden courtyard, overgrown with luminous flowers, their petals shimmering with soft, cold light. As he walked, the pulse beneath his feet grew stronger. It was a gentle, steady rhythm, like the heartbeat of the city itself, guiding him further into the hidden heart. The streets gradually narrowed, and the light dimmed, replaced by a soft, bluish glow that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Every sound he made was absorbed, softened, and returned as a faint echo, reminding him of the delicate balance of this ancient place. Finally, he reached a wide plaza. At its center stood a structure unlike any he had seen before. The walls were smooth and glimmered faintly, like crystal, reflecting the soft light in gentle waves. A single doorway, tall and narrow, invited him in without a word. The hum of the city's pulse intensified as he approached, resonating deep in his chest. Taking a slow breath, Arif stepped inside. The chamber was vast, larger than any building he had entered. The walls were made entirely of translucent crystal, glowing softly from within. Light shifted gently across the surfaces, creating shapes that seemed almost alive. In the center of the chamber floated a large, spherical crystal, radiating warmth and light. It pulsed in perfect harmony with the heartbeat he had felt throughout the city. Arif approached cautiously, mesmerized by its gentle glow. As he reached out, he felt a soft vibration through his fingertips. The pulse of the city and the pulse of the crystal were one, an eternal rhythm of time and memory. He realized that the crystal chamber was not merely a room, but the very heart of the sunken city of silence, a repository of centuries, perhaps millennia, of history preserved perfectly beneath the waves. Slowly, he circled the chamber, observing inscriptions etched into the walls. They were symbols he did not understand, yet each carried a sense of purpose and meaning. Some seemed to tell stories of people long gone, others depicted streets, gardens, and towers in meticulous detail. Every etching pulsed faintly, as if the city itself remembered every moment of its existence. Arif paused in front of the floating crystal, feeling its energy radiate outward. He realized that the city had preserved more than structures, it had preserved life itself. Not just the memory of its people, but the rhythm, the pulse, the essence of a world long vanished above the waves. Time seemed suspended in the chamber. Minutes, hours, days, he could not tell. Every breath, every heartbeat, was drawn into the slow, eternal rhythm of the city. The quiet presence of the crystal invited him to pause, to listen, to observe, and to become a part of the slow flow of history preserved beneath the ocean. Finally, he stepped back, letting the calm wash over him. The chamber, the crystal, and the city itself were patient. They had existed long before him and would continue long after. Arif understood, in a deep, unhurried way, that the city was not meant to be hurried or conquered. It was meant to be experienced slowly, to teach the rhythm of time, the patience of silence, and the profound beauty of stillness. And as he left the chamber, returning to the streets that led to quiet plazas and luminous gardens, he carried with him a soft understanding. The sunken city of silence was alive, not with people, not with noise, but with memory, patience, and the slow heartbeat of history itself. Arif left the crystal chamber, the pulse of the city still resonating faintly in his chest. The streets beyond were quiet, bathed in a soft glow that seemed to come from the stones themselves. He walked slowly, feeling the rhythm of the city guide him forward, as though every cobblestone had been laid with intention and every corner waited patiently for discovery. The streets began to narrow, twisting gently into alleys he had not noticed before. Here, the buildings leaned closer together, forming a subtle arch above his head. Small doorways appeared in unexpected places, some open, some closed, all untouched by water or decay. Arif stepped carefully, aware that the silence here was deeper, heavier, as if the city itself were holding its breath. As he moved, he noticed faint movements in the periphery of his vision. Shadows shifted subtly, but not like people or animals. They were soft, fluid, almost like the reflection of the waves above, yet unmistakably present. Arif did not feel fear, instead, he felt curiosity, a gentle insistence to move slowly, to observe, to notice. Eventually, he discovered a narrow staircase leading downward. The steps were carved from single blocks of stone, worn smooth by centuries. Descending carefully, he entered a hidden passage lined with arches and small alcoves. Faint carvings decorated the walls, scenes of gardens, markets, and festivals. Though silent, these carvings seemed alive, as if the city remembered each moment with reverence. At the end of the passage, Arif found a small courtyard. In the center stood a stone figure, tall and elegant, eyes closed, hands folded across its chest. It was neither welcoming nor threatening, merely present. As he approached, the pulse of the city seemed to intensify, radiating from the figure and surrounding walls. Arif sensed that the city had placed watchers here, not to harm, but to guide, to remind visitors of the rhythm, the patience, the stillness. The courtyard opened onto another street, longer and quieter than any he had walked before. Lanterns of crystal hung from the walls, casting a soft, shifting glow. Arif moved slowly along this street, noticing every detail, the gentle curve of a window, the slight tilt of a roof, the faint shimmer of moss on stones. Each detail felt deliberate, as if the city wanted him to notice the care with which it had been preserved. He came upon a garden tucked between two tall buildings. Flowers of pale colors glimmered faintly, and small fountains stood still, their basins empty yet shimmering with the memory of water. Arif walked among them, touching petals and leaves softly, feeling the quiet life that thrummed beneath the surface. The city seemed to breathe through him, through the flowers, the stones, and the narrow alleys. As he wandered further, the alleys led to another plaza. It was smaller than the central square, more intimate, with benches carved from stone and small towers rising at its edges. The silence was absolute, yet comforting, as though the city were whispering that he was safe, that every step mattered, and that nothing here was hurried or accidental. Arif paused in the middle of the plaza, closing his eyes. The faint hum of the city surrounded him, blending with the pulse of his own heartbeat. He realized that the watchers, the carvings, the glowing gardens, they were not merely decorations or monuments. They were reminders of the city's purpose, to preserve, to teach, and to guide anyone who entered to a deeper understanding of time, patience, and presence. Hours seemed to pass, or perhaps only moments. The edges of the plaza glimmered faintly as he opened his eyes, the light soft and gentle. The hidden passages, the narrow alleys, and the silent watchers had prepared him for what lay ahead. The city had more to reveal, deeper secrets waiting patiently for those willing to move slowly and listen. And so, Arif continued along the winding streets, carrying the rhythm of the city in his chest, guided by the subtle pulse, ready to explore the mysteries that had remained untouched for centuries, beneath the quiet, eternal waves of the sunken city of silence. Arif followed the quiet pulse of the city as it guided him through streets he had not yet explored. The further he went, the narrower the alleys became, until the walls leaned gently toward each other, forming a canopy of stone above his head. The light here was softer, cooler, tinged with a faint, bluish glow that seemed to come from the very walls themselves. The air carried the same stillness he had felt throughout the city, but here it was deeper, heavier, as if the silence itself had weight. Every step Arif took seemed magnified, yet absorbed by the smooth stones beneath his feet. The pulse in his chest grew steady, syncing with the heartbeat of the city, guiding him forward with quiet insistence. He came upon a broad staircase carved into the earth, descending slowly into the unknown. Each step felt deliberate, measured, as though the city wanted him to move carefully, to notice every detail, to be fully present. The deeper he went, the cooler the air became, and the faint glow of crystals embedded in the walls illuminated intricate carvings. The carvings depicted figures moving through streets and gardens, performing everyday tasks, harvesting, tending animals, walking through markets. Yet some figures appeared to reach toward the sky or kneel beside the walls, as if communing with the city itself. Arif realized that these carvings were not mere decoration, they were memories, preserved gestures of life long vanished above the waves. At the base of the staircase, he entered a vast underground chamber. The ceiling arched high above, lined with crystalline veins that shimmered faintly. The floor was polished stone, reflecting the glow of the walls, and the air vibrated softly with the city's pulse. In the center of the chamber stood a circular dais, carved with symbols he did not understand, yet they radiated calm, patience, and quiet authority. Arif stepped closer to the dais. As he approached, the light from the crystals intensified, illuminating the chamber with gentle waves of color that shifted like slow currents. He felt a subtle hum beneath his feet, deeper than the pulse he had felt in the streets above. It was the heartbeat of the city itself, older, steadier, eternal. From the far end of the chamber, narrow corridors led to smaller rooms. Arif explored them slowly. One contained rows of crystalline spheres, faintly glowing, each suspended in the air. Touching one, he felt a flood of impressions, images of streets, gardens, towers, and figures long gone. The city stored its memory here, not in books, but in objects that resonated with time itself. Another room held delicate statues, figures in serene poses, their faces calm, their eyes closed. They did not watch him, yet he felt their presence, the weight of centuries preserved in perfect stillness. The chamber was a repository of life, of history, of existence itself, carefully held beneath the waves, beyond the reach of time above. Arif paused in the center of the main chamber, closing his eyes. He felt the pulse of the city more strongly than ever, a slow, steady rhythm that intertwined with his own heartbeat. In this silence, he began to understand the city's purpose. It was not merely a place, but a living memory. It preserved life, history, and awareness in a quiet, deliberate form, offering anyone who entered a lesson in patience, observation, and the profound depth of stillness. Hours, or perhaps minutes, passed in that chamber. Arif's breathing slowed, his thoughts softened, and the pulse of the city became his own. The deeper he went, the more he realized that the sunken city of silence was not just a city beneath the waves. It was a teacher, a guardian of time, and a witness to lives long past, waiting patiently for those who would walk its streets slowly enough to notice. Finally, he stepped back from the dais and began to ascend the staircase. Each step felt deliberate, measured, as though the city itself guided him upward, preparing him for the streets, gardens, and towers he had yet to explore. The deeper chambers had revealed the heartbeat of the city, but the city still had more to show, more mysteries to unfold in its patient, eternal rhythm beneath the waves. Arif emerged from the depths of the crystal chamber and returned to the softly glowing streets above. The city's pulse was gentler here, more expansive, guiding him outward toward areas he had not yet discovered. These streets widened slowly, and the buildings grew taller, their rooftops sharp against the dim light that illuminated the entire city. He walked along a long avenue, noticing how the city's architecture changed. The stones were smoother here, polished by centuries, and small statues appeared at intervals, their faces serene, their eyes closed in quiet meditation. These were not simply decorations, they were markers, subtle reminders of the city's rhythm and patience. Eventually, the street opened onto a broad plaza. In its center lay a series of shallow canals, bridged by narrow stone arches. The canals were dry, yet faint ripples shimmered across their surfaces, as if the memory of water lingered in the stones. Arif walked across the bridges slowly, feeling the pulse beneath his feet strengthen once again, guiding him with patient insistence. At the edge of the plaza, he noticed doors hidden in plain sight, slightly ajar, inviting him to explore further. Behind one, he discovered a quiet courtyard filled with luminous flowers and small fountains. The light of the city caught on petals and leaves, creating a gentle glow that seemed almost alive. The air was still, yet it carried a faint vibration, a rhythm deeper than sound, felt rather than heard. As he wandered, Arif became aware of subtle presences. Shadows moved at the corners of his vision, fleeting glimpses that vanished when he turned his head. He realized that the city had guardians, not living creatures, but quiet observers, subtle embodiments of its purpose. They did not threaten, they did not hurry him, but their presence reminded him that the city was alive in a way beyond mere stone and light. He followed a winding street that led to the outer districts of the city. Here, buildings were spaced farther apart, and the avenues stretched long and straight. Faint carvings on walls depicted bridges, plazas, and gardens, hinting at lives that had walked these streets long ago. The city's pulse grew stronger, almost like a heartbeat guiding him forward, drawing him to spaces where history and memory were preserved with meticulous care. Along the outer edge, he discovered a bridge spanning a dry canal, its stones smooth and arching perfectly. Crossing slowly, he noticed inscriptions along the railing, delicate etchings that seemed to shift in the soft light. He traced them with his fingers, feeling the rhythm of the city deepen, a steady, slow cadence that seemed to synchronize with his own breathing. Beyond the bridge, small courtyards and hidden gardens appeared, each glowing faintly. In one, a sculpture of a seated figure faced the center, eyes closed, hands resting gently in its lap. Arif paused, realizing that these silent guardians were reminders, to walk slowly, to observe deeply, to carry patience as a companion. They were not alive in the sense of movement, but alive in the memory and purpose of the city itself. Hours, or perhaps moments, passed as he wandered the outer districts. Each step felt deliberate, each breath synchronized with the quiet rhythm of this submerged world. The city was teaching him without words, showing him that its true guardians were not creatures or walls, but time, stillness, and careful attention. Finally, as he reached the far edge of the city, he paused to look back. Streets, bridges, plazas, and gardens stretched in perfect symmetry, glowing softly, a silent, eternal witness to centuries past. Arif understood then that the sunken city of silence was not merely a city beneath the waves. It was a teacher, a keeper of history, a space where patience, observation, and quiet rhythm were preserved above all else. And with that understanding, he continued along the winding streets, guided by the city's heartbeat, ready to uncover even deeper secrets, awaiting him in places untouched by time and unseen by any who had come before. Arif followed the gentle pulse of the city, moving slowly through the outer districts toward a taller, more imposing structure he had glimpsed from afar. Its walls shimmered softly, taller than any building he had seen before, and it seemed to hum faintly in harmony with the rhythm he felt in every stone beneath his feet. This, he sensed, was the heart of knowledge in the sunken city of silence. The doorway was wide and arched, carved from pale stone that glimmered faintly. He stepped inside, and the world shifted once again. The chamber within was vast, its ceilings arched high above, lined with veins of crystal that pulsed with gentle light. The air was cool and still, carrying a faint scent of aged stone and faintly sweet herbs. The pulse of the city here was stronger, a slow, deliberate heartbeat that seemed to connect every wall, every shelf, and every object in the room. Arif's eyes adjusted to the soft glow. Rows upon rows of shelves stretched endlessly, each one filled with scrolls, manuscripts, and crystalline orbs. The scrolls were delicate, yet perfectly preserved, and the orbs shimmered faintly, each containing images that seemed alive, moving streets, gardens, towers, and figures frozen in time. The chamber felt like the memory of the city made tangible, a repository for centuries of quiet, deliberate preservation. He walked slowly along the aisles, brushing his fingers over the spines of the scrolls. As he did, faint whispers filled his mind, not audible in the usual sense, but understood. They were memories of people long gone, their daily lives, their rituals, their joys and sorrows captured here in perfect stillness. He realized the city had preserved more than buildings, it had preserved life itself, carefully and patiently, waiting for someone to observe without haste. Arif paused before a row of crystalline orbs. Each one pulsed softly, casting gentle light on the walls around him. When he touched one, a vision appeared in his mind, a market square, bustling with figures moving in perfect rhythm, though the sounds were absent. He stepped back, awed, feeling the weight of centuries in the silence. The city was teaching him patience, observation, and the rhythm of life through its preserved memories. As he wandered further, he came to a raised dais at the center of the chamber. On it lay a large crystal tablet, engraved with intricate symbols and flowing patterns. He leaned closer, tracing them with his fingers. The symbols seemed to shift subtly, forming images he could not fully comprehend, stories of construction, of daily life, of festivals, of quiet evenings spent under the sun or stars. The city had recorded itself, carefully, deliberately, as if it wanted future observers to understand, to learn, and to feel its heartbeat. He sat for a long while, letting the calm wash over him. Every breath, every heartbeat, aligned with the slow rhythm of the chamber. The sunken city of silence was not merely a city, he realized, it was a teacher, a keeper of history, and a guardian of memory. It existed not to be conquered, but to be observed, to be absorbed, to allow patience, understanding, and reflection to settle deeply within those who entered. Hours, or perhaps moments, passed as he explored every corner of the archive chamber. Faint light glimmered across scrolls and crystals, and the pulse beneath his feet never wavered. Each step, each movement, each breath became part of the city's rhythm, a gentle meditation on time, memory, and the quiet beauty of existence preserved in stillness. Finally, Arif rose and left the chamber, carrying with him a deeper understanding. The city had revealed its secrets slowly, patiently. Its true purpose was not mystery for mystery's sake, but the quiet preservation of life, time, and memory, an eternal, silent witness beneath the waves. As he returned to the streets, the pulse of the city continued to guide him, subtle yet insistent, promising that even more secrets and lessons awaited, still untouched, still waiting. Arif walked slowly through the quiet streets, feeling the pulse of the sunken city of silence beneath his feet. The rhythm was steady, eternal, gentle. Every step, every breath, was absorbed into the slow heartbeat of the city. He had wandered through streets, plazas, gardens, towers, and hidden chambers, but he sensed that the city still had one final lesson to offer, a deeper understanding of its timeless presence. Ahead, he noticed a narrow pathway winding between two tall buildings. It seemed older than the streets he had explored, worn smooth by countless feet long gone. The light here was softer, cooler, almost imperceptible. Arif followed it slowly, letting the city guide him without thought or haste. The path led him to a large, circular plaza, larger and quieter than any he had seen before. In its center stood a single stone dais, upon which rested a shallow pool of crystal-clear water. The water shimmered faintly, reflecting light without a source, creating patterns that shifted slowly, like the gentle waves of the ocean above. Arif approached the pool and knelt beside it, gazing into its depths. As he watched, faint reflections appeared, not of himself, but of the city itself. Streets, towers, gardens, plazas, and chambers appeared in perfect harmony. Figures moved within them, performing daily routines, yet their presence was calm, silent, and deliberate. The city was showing him its essence, life preserved not in noise or motion, but in patience, memory, and quiet observation. Arif dipped a hand into the water. It was cool, yet not cold, gentle yet alive with a subtle pulse. As he touched it, he felt the heartbeat of the city more strongly than ever, an eternal rhythm that seemed to embrace every stone, every plant, every structure. He understood that the sunken city of silence existed as a teacher, a guardian of time, and a witness to history. Its purpose was not to be conquered or rushed, but to be experienced slowly, absorbed patiently, and remembered eternally. He rose from the pool, stepping back slowly, breathing in the calm. Around the plaza, the soft glow of the city spread in every direction, streets and gardens radiating a quiet life. Arif realized that he could wander here forever, lost in the rhythm of the city, yet the time had come to leave. The city would remain, eternal and patient, waiting for the next soul willing to move slowly enough to listen. As he walked back along the familiar streets, he paused in front of the crystal chamber, gazing once more at the floating orb that had first drawn him so deeply into this world. The orb pulsed gently, a soft, rhythmic glow, as if acknowledging his presence, offering quiet gratitude. Arif felt a calm connection, a sense of having touched something ancient and eternal, a pulse that would linger in him forever. He retraced his steps to the place where the shimmering waters had first revealed the city. Climbing back into his boat, he paused once, looking back at the sunken city of silence. The faint glow of its streets shimmered beneath the waves, perfectly preserved, untouched by time, waiting patiently. Arif drifted away slowly, letting the gentle motion of the water rock him, his mind filled with the rhythm of the city. Each breath, each heartbeat, carried the calm, the stillness, and the eternal lesson he had learned. Patience, observation, and the quiet preservation of memory are treasures more enduring than the loudest moments of life above. And as the waves closed gently behind him, the city vanished from sight, yet its pulse remained in his chest, a slow, steady rhythm that would lull him into sleep and stay with him in dreams, a quiet reminder that some places, some memories, exist forever beneath the surface, eternal, patient, and full of silent wonder. Arif drifted slowly in his small boat, the gentle waves rocking him as the glow of the sunken city of silence faded beneath the water. Yet even as the city disappeared from view, he could still feel its pulse in his chest, a quiet heartbeat that synchronized with his own. The memory of the streets, the towers, the gardens, and the crystalline chambers lingered, soft and glowing in his mind, like an echo beneath the waves. He closed his eyes and allowed the rhythm to guide him. With each breath, the calm of the city returned, the quiet lessons of patience, observation, and stillness flowing into him. He remembered the hidden alleys, the gentle pulse beneath the cobblestones, the watchers carved from stone that had reminded him to move slowly, to notice, to be present. The city's lessons became a part of him, woven into the cadence of his thoughts and the flow of his heartbeat. He realized that even above the ocean, in the world of wind, sun, and human noise, the sunken city of silence had left its imprint. The quiet rhythms he had absorbed would linger, a subtle, eternal pulse beneath the surface of his life. As the boat drifted farther, he imagined the city's streets, now empty again, returning to eternal stillness beneath the waves. Bridges arched over canals that shimmered faintly, plazas glimmered softly, and gardens glowed with pale, gentle light. The city had not changed, it had waited, patient and eternal, and it would continue to do so long after he had departed. A soft breeze stirred over the water, carrying the faintest scent of salt and stone. Arif thought of the crystal chamber, of the floating orb and the crystalline spheres filled with memory. Each one had been a piece of the city's essence, an eternal fragment of life preserved perfectly. The pulse of the city had guided him here, through its streets and towers, to understand that true preservation is not in possession, but in quiet attention, in mindfulness, in the act of seeing without rushing. He let himself drift in silence, eyes closed, feeling the gentle rocking of the boat echo the calm pulse of the sunken city. Memories of the watchers, the hidden gardens, the flowing light, and the slow rhythm of the streets mingled with his own heartbeat, creating a serene symphony of stillness. He realized that the city had not simply taught him about the past, it had shown him a way to move through the present, with patience, awareness, and quiet wonder. As twilight faded into night, the stars above reflected on the water in gentle patterns, twinkling softly like the luminous gardens of the city itself. Arif felt a connection between the world above and the city below, a reminder that stillness, patience, and memory could exist anywhere, waiting to be noticed. And as he drifted farther from the site where the city had first revealed itself, he carried its pulse with him, a gentle, slow heartbeat, a whisper beneath his thoughts, a calm rhythm that would guide him through the world above, just as it had guided him beneath the waves. The sunken city of silence remained, eternal, patient, and full of wonder, waiting quietly for the next traveler who would walk slowly enough to notice, breathe deeply enough to understand, and listen carefully enough to feel the pulse of time itself. Arif's boat drifted slowly, carried by the gentle swell of the waves. The sunken city of silence had faded beneath the water, yet its pulse remained within him, a steady rhythm that seemed to echo in every part of his being. Each breath he took was aligned with that quiet heartbeat, each heartbeat reminding him of the patience and stillness he had learned beneath the waves. The stars above twinkled faintly, reflecting patterns in the water that reminded him of the city's luminous gardens. He closed his eyes and allowed his mind to drift, as if the pulse of the city could carry him even without sight. Memories of the streets, the towers, the crystal chamber, and the silent watchers flowed gently through him, soft and warm, like a slow river moving through time. Arif thought of the crystal orb, floating above its pedestal, pulsing in perfect harmony with the city's heartbeat. He realized that it had not only preserved the memory of the city but had preserved a sense of timeless calm that could live within anyone who had walked the streets slowly, observed quietly, and listened carefully. That calm now lived in him. He imagined the hidden passages, the narrow alleys, the stone bridges, and the plazas shimmering softly. Every corner of the city had offered him a lesson in patience, awareness, and reverence for the quiet moments that often go unnoticed. In those moments, he understood, true life is preserved, not in haste or noise, but in calm, deliberate observation and gentle presence. The boat rocked slowly, and he let the motion carry him into a trance-like serenity. Thoughts of the world above, the bustling villages, the markets, the sunlit hills, slid gently aside. The rhythm of the city, slow and unbroken, filled his mind. Each wave, each breath, each heartbeat became a soft, continuous reminder of the lessons he had absorbed. He imagined stepping back into the sunken city, not as an intruder, but as a quiet observer, welcomed by the city's pulse. The watchers in the streets, the statues, the luminous gardens, the crystal chambers, all welcomed him silently. Each moment there had taught him something subtle, something eternal, that calm, patience, and careful attention can transform perception, that time moves differently when you slow down, and that memory and life are preserved not in hurry, but in gentle awareness. As he drifted farther from where the city lay beneath the waves, the lessons merged with his own consciousness. He could feel the pulse in his chest, in his hands, in the gentle rocking of the boat. The sunken city of silence was no longer just a place, it had become a rhythm inside him, a quiet guide for every thought, every step, and every breath he would take in the days and years ahead. And as the night deepened, stars reflecting softly on the water, Arif let himself sink into the rhythm fully. The pulse of the city flowed through him like a lullaby, slow, steady, and eternal. It whispered that stillness has value, that patience holds power, and that the quiet preservation of memory is a treasure beyond measure. Finally, he closed his eyes completely, letting the waves, the stars, and the city's pulse carry him. The sunken city of silence remained beneath the ocean, eternal, patient, and waiting. But its heartbeat now lived within Arif, guiding him into a deep, peaceful sleep, a slow journey through dreams, and a sense of calm that would linger long after the night had passed. And with that, the sunken city's lesson settled into him forever, that even in a world of noise and haste, there are spaces, quiet, deliberate, eternal, where time slows, memory endures, and the rhythm of life can be felt in every gentle heartbeat. Arif's eyes were closed as he floated gently on the waves, the cool night air brushing softly against his face. In the quiet of the ocean, the sunken city of silence no longer appeared beneath him, yet its pulse lingered, slow and steady, like a heartbeat that had merged with his own. He allowed himself to drift fully into the rhythm, sinking into a state where time stretched and softened. The boundaries between his mind and the city began to blur. Streets and plazas shimmered in his imagination, gardens glowed faintly in the darkness of his eyelids, and the crystal chambers pulsed with gentle light in perfect harmony with his breathing. In this dreamlike state, he walked the silent streets again. He noticed details he had missed before, the subtle curve of a bridge, the soft gleam of moss on stones, the gentle sway of luminous flowers. Each element carried the memory of centuries, preserved not just in structure but in feeling. Arif realized that the city had been teaching him not only observation, but empathy for time itself, how each moment could exist quietly, fully, and eternally. He approached the crystal orb once more, though it existed only in the space between sleep and consciousness. Its glow pulsed slowly, as if counting the passing of waves above the city. When he touched it, he felt the memories of countless lives, countless days and nights, flow through him, not like a story read in a book, but like a heartbeat, a rhythm shared between all who had lived here. The watchers in the streets, the statues in the gardens, the silent guardians of the bridges, all seemed to shift and pulse with life. They were no longer simply reminders, they were companions in his journey, teaching him patience through presence, observation through stillness, and understanding through quiet attention. Arif wandered further, into hidden courtyards and narrow alleys, each step slow and deliberate. He felt the city's heartbeat everywhere, in the shimmer of the stones, the glow of the gardens, the soft vibration beneath his feet. The lessons of the sunken city of silence, patience, stillness, reverence for time, were becoming inseparable from his own consciousness. He reached a small, secluded pool of crystal-clear water in one hidden garden. Leaning over, he gazed into its depths and saw not just the city, but himself, intertwined with it. His heartbeat matched the pulse of the city. His breathing merged with its rhythm. In that moment, Arif understood fully, the city was not just beneath the waves, it existed in the awareness of those who moved slowly enough to feel it, to carry its rhythm within. The gentle sway of his boat above the ocean echoed the flow of the streets below. Arif let himself drift completely, surrendering to the pulse, to the calm, to the eternal quiet that the city had imparted. Every heartbeat, every breath became a soft reminder of the lessons he had learned, a lullaby of stillness that reached into the deepest corners of his mind. As the night deepened and the stars reflected softly on the water, Arif felt the city living within him. Not in form, not in shape, but in rhythm, in memory, in quiet presence. The sunken city of silence had become a part of him, a heartbeat that would guide him through sleep, through dreams, and into every quiet moment that awaited him in the waking world. And so, floating gently on the waves, Arif surrendered fully to the pulse, to the calm, to the eternal rhythm of the sunken city of silence, feeling its lessons flow through him as a gentle, endless tide. Time had slowed. Memory had endured. And peace, slow and infinite, had settled deeply into his soul. The first light of dawn touched the horizon, soft and gentle, as Arif's boat drifted quietly on the calm waters. Though the sunken city of silence remained hidden beneath the waves, its pulse continued to flow through him, a slow, steady heartbeat that seemed inseparable from his own. He opened his eyes slowly, letting the pale light wash over his face. The world above the ocean was familiar, the gentle sway of the boat, the glimmering reflection of the sky on the water, but it felt different now. Each movement, each breath, carried the rhythm of the city beneath the waves. Every gentle wave became part of the pulse he had absorbed, every whisper of wind a soft echo of the streets, towers, and gardens he had explored. Arif allowed himself to sit quietly, absorbing the calm of the morning. Memories of the city floated gently through his mind, the crystal chambers, the glowing gardens, the silent watchers, the bridges over dry canals, the luminous plazas. Each detail, each pulse, had imprinted itself onto him, forming a gentle, unhurried rhythm that he could carry into the world above. He noticed how even the smallest things seemed touched by the city's lesson. The sunlight on the water glimmered softly, like the crystals in the chambers. A flock of birds passed in the distance, moving in calm, deliberate patterns reminiscent of the silent figures he had seen. Arif felt connected to it all, not in sight alone, but in quiet, patient awareness. The pulse in his chest seemed to expand, filling him with a sense of peace that stretched beyond the boat, beyond the water, reaching into the soft morning air. Every breath became longer, slower, deliberate. He realized that he could carry the city with him always, not as a place beneath the waves, but as a rhythm, a way of moving through time, a guide for every quiet moment of life. Arif let himself drift, eyes closed, imagining the city beneath the waves. He pictured the crystal orb pulsing softly in its chamber, the delicate carvings on walls, the watchers in gardens, and the hidden bridges spanning dry canals. The city remained, eternal, patient, and glowing faintly under the water, yet its lessons now lived in him, a pulse, a rhythm that would guide him always. He breathed in slowly, deeply, letting the rhythm of the city flow through his thoughts. Every movement, every heartbeat, every gentle sway of the boat above became a continuation of the city's slow lesson, patience, observation, quiet presence, and reverence for the enduring beauty of time preserved. As the sun rose higher, its warmth touching his skin, Arif knew he would return to life above the waves, carrying the pulse of the sunken city of silence with him. Each step he took in the world beyond the ocean would now be guided by the slow, deliberate rhythm he had learned, each moment enriched by the gentle awareness of time, memory, and stillness. Finally, he allowed his eyes to open fully, the boat moving steadily toward the horizon. The city beneath the waves remained hidden, eternal, and patient. But its heartbeat lived in him now, a constant companion, a gentle lullaby, a quiet rhythm that would guide him through the waking world, and through sleep, and into every serene moment that awaited him. And with that, Arif floated on, completely calm, carrying the pulse of the sunken city of silence, slow, steady, eternal, and perfectly at peace. Arif's boat drifted gently, carried by the soft swell of the calm morning sea. The sunken city of silence lay hidden beneath the waves, invisible to the eye, yet its pulse continued to flow through him, slow, steady, eternal. Every heartbeat, every breath, aligned with that quiet rhythm, and he felt as though he was moving not just through water, but through time itself. He closed his eyes, letting the gentle rocking of the boat carry him deeper into the feeling of the city. The streets, plazas, gardens, and towers shimmered faintly in his mind, more vivid than any memory, yet calm, soft, and slow. The crystal chambers glowed faintly, the silent watchers stood at their posts, and the delicate bridges spanned dry canals with perfect stillness. All of it was alive in his awareness, breathing gently in harmony with him. In this quiet dream, Arif felt the city expanding beyond the ocean floor, reaching into the sky, into the stars, and into every soft ripple of the water around him. The lessons of patience, observation, and reverence for quiet moments became part of the waves themselves, part of the gentle light that danced across the surface of the sea. He imagined walking through the city once more, moving slowly along the streets, touching the stones and gardens, feeling the pulse beneath his feet. The crystalline orbs floated gently in the air, shimmering with memories of lives long past. Every detail was perfect, eternal, and patient, yet nothing pressed upon him. He was part of the city now, and it was part of him, a rhythm, a heartbeat, a gentle, infinite presence. Arif allowed his mind to drift fully. Shadows and light, wind and water, the soft sway of the boat, and the pulse of the sunken city became a single, seamless experience. He was not awake, he was not asleep, he was simply present, carried along by the eternal rhythm of a place that had existed beyond time and would continue to exist in quiet harmony. The soft glow of the crystal gardens, the gentle hush of the silent plazas, and the faint shimmer of the canals filled his mind. The watchers in the streets, the statues in the gardens, and the flowing pulse of the streets themselves all seemed to whisper a lullaby, a slow and steady chant of calm, patience, and presence. Arif let himself float further, feeling the pulse expand within him. He realized that he could carry the city everywhere, beneath his heartbeat, beneath his breath, beneath every movement in the world above. The sunken city of silence was no longer just beneath the waves. It was a rhythm that could guide him, soothe him, and keep him calm, always. As the boat drifted gently into the horizon, the world around him faded softly into the quiet dreamscape of his mind. Waves became the streets of the city, stars became its glowing towers, and the air itself hummed with the eternal heartbeat he had absorbed. Time had slowed. Memory had endured. And the calm, gentle pulse of the sunken city of silence would remain with him forever. And so, Arif surrendered completely, letting the rhythm guide him into a deep, peaceful sleep, a sleep filled with the city's soft light, its eternal pulse, and its quiet, endless wonder. The sunken city of silence remained beneath the waves, patient, eternal, and glowing, and its heartbeat now lived within anyone who was willing to move slowly, observe quietly, and listen carefully enough to feel the eternal rhythm beneath the surface of the world. The waves rocked Arif's boat gently, carrying him farther from the world above. The sunken city of silence remained beneath the depths, invisible but alive in every heartbeat, every breath, every thought. The pulse he had absorbed flowed through him now without effort, a rhythm that needed no direction, only quiet surrender. His eyes closed naturally, and in the soft darkness, the city's glow returned, not as streets or towers, but as colors and vibrations. Blues and silvers shimmered across the edges of his mind, gentle pulses marking the rhythm of time itself. Arif felt as though he were floating inside the city now, moving through it not with steps, but with consciousness. He drifted past luminous gardens, where the flowers bent slowly, their petals catching the soft light, glowing faintly in patterns that seemed to breathe. Silent watchers appeared at the edge of his vision, carved and yet alive in the pulse of memory. They did not move, they did not speak, they simply reminded him that he was safe, that stillness is a guide, and that the rhythm of life could be found everywhere, if one moved slowly enough to notice. The crystal chambers appeared like soft clouds in his mind, light pulsing gently within them. Each orb floated slowly, carrying the memories of lives long gone, markets, towers, plazas, festivals, quiet evenings, and long days, all preserved in eternal calm. Arif let the images wash over him, soft and slow, like gentle waves brushing against the shore. The city's pulse intertwined with the gentle motion of the ocean, with the sway of the boat, and with the steady rhythm of his own breath. He felt himself merge with it entirely, as though he had become part of the sunken city itself. Streets, bridges, gardens, towers, all became a single, soft network of calm energy flowing endlessly beneath him. Time lost meaning. Minutes stretched, seconds paused, and the heartbeat of the city became the heartbeat of everything, the sky above, the water around, the gentle sway of the boat, and the quiet rhythm of Arif's own body. He was weightless, timeless, perfectly at peace, carried along in a slow, hypnotic wave that seemed to stretch into eternity. Faint reflections of the stars danced across the water, echoing the glow of the city's plazas and gardens. Arif felt the pulse deepen, filling him entirely with warmth, calm, and slow, deliberate awareness. The watchers, the statues, the bridges, and the crystal orbs all became soft notes in a lullaby, one that moved through mind, body, and soul, carrying him gently into the realm of dreams. Arif surrendered completely to the rhythm. Every heartbeat, every breath, every sway of the boat merged into a single, slow, eternal pulse. The sunken city of silence no longer existed beneath the waves alone, it existed in him, in the ocean, in the stars, and in the quiet, unhurried moments that lay between wakefulness and sleep. And as he floated, carried by gentle waves and the eternal pulse of the city, Arif drifted deeper into dream, into calm, into the soft, timeless flow of memory and stillness. Time became unimportant, thoughts became whispers, and the city, eternal, patient, and glowing, became a part of every gentle breath he took. In this ocean of dreams, Arif was no longer a visitor, no longer separate. He was rhythm, pulse, and light. He was calm, eternal, and perfectly, utterly at peace. Arif drifted, floating effortlessly on the gentle waves, the world above blurred and soft. The sunken city of silence pulsed within him, no longer a distant place beneath the waves, but a living rhythm that moved through every part of him. The heartbeat of the city, the gentle rocking of the boat, and the slow rise and fall of his own breath merged into one eternal pulse. His mind became fluid, stretching like water, flowing slowly through streets, bridges, gardens, and plazas. The crystal chambers glimmered softly, their light no longer separate from him. Each orb, each reflection, each memory of life long past seemed to weave into his consciousness, a tapestry of time and stillness. Figures from the city appeared as soft silhouettes, moving with deliberate grace. They were neither alive nor dead, neither past nor present, they were rhythm made visible, gentle guides through this vast ocean of dream. Arif felt no need to follow, no need to observe. They simply existed alongside him, their calm a perfect mirror to his own quiet awareness. The ocean stretched endlessly, reflecting the stars above. Each star pulsed in slow harmony with the city's heartbeat, and each ripple on the water reflected the gentle sway of the streets, towers, and gardens below. Arif realized he could no longer tell where the city ended and he began. He had become part of the rhythm, the pulse, the eternal calm. He drifted past bridges of stone and crystal, over plazas that glowed softly, through gardens alive with light, each moment unfolding slowly, deliberately. Time lost all meaning. There was no past, no future, only the slow, eternal now, carried in the heartbeat of the city and the sway of the ocean. The watchers in the gardens, the statues in the plazas, the floating orbs of crystal, they no longer observed him. He was no longer separate. He was movement, he was stillness, he was the pulse itself. Every inhale, every exhale, every soft sway of the waves was part of the rhythm. Every reflection of light, every shimmer of water, every faint glow of memory became one gentle, infinite experience. Arif felt the ocean flow through him, the city pulse through him, the stars above glow through him. Each sensation was slow, deliberate, soft, and comforting. There was no fear, no urgency, only the eternal calm of the sunken city of silence, now fully alive within him. And as he sank deeper into this dreamlike state, the city, the ocean, and the stars became a single, endless rhythm. Arif surrendered completely, dissolving into pulse, into light, into gentle, infinite stillness. The world above, the waves below, and the eternal city beneath the waves all merged into one slow, eternal heartbeat. He became the rhythm. He became the calm. He became the pulse. And in that pulse, there was only peace, only presence, only eternal, gentle silence. Arif drifted softly on the ocean, the gentle sway of the waves echoing the eternal rhythm of the sunken city of silence. The dreamlike pulse that had carried him through streets, plazas, gardens, and crystal chambers now lingered lightly within him, subtle but steady, a quiet companion to his own heartbeat. The stars above shimmered faintly, reflecting on the surface of the water like tiny fragments of the city's glow. He opened his eyes slowly, feeling the first warmth of the morning sun brushing against his face. The world above the waves was familiar, yet different, quieter, slower, more deliberate, as if he now saw it through the pulse of the city itself. Every breath he took carried the rhythm of the sunken city, soft and steady, a reminder of patience, observation, and stillness. Each gentle wave rocking his boat mirrored the streets he had walked, the bridges he had crossed, the gardens he had admired. The city had remained beneath the depths, eternal and untouched, but its lessons now lived in him, a pulse he could carry into life above the waves. Arif leaned back and let himself float, feeling the slow integration of the city's rhythm into his body and mind. The dreamlike visions, the crystal orbs, the glowing gardens, the silent watchers, faded softly, not disappearing but settling gently into memory, woven into the quiet rhythm of his awareness. He realized that the city's pulse would remain with him, subtle, patient, eternal, guiding him in every quiet moment. The ocean whispered beneath him, waves brushing softly against the hull of his boat. Arif felt a deep connection between himself, the city, and the world above, the same rhythm moving through all things. Time was slower now, not measured by clocks or urgency, but by careful observation, presence, and gentle attention to each moment. He breathed in slowly, deeply, letting the pulse of the city merge fully with his own. Every heartbeat became part of the eternal rhythm he had experienced, every thought slowed, deliberate, calm. The sunken city of silence had become more than a place, it had become a guide, a companion, a quiet presence in the stillness between moments. As the sun rose higher, casting soft golden light across the water, Arif felt ready to move forward, carrying the lessons of the city into the waking world. He could walk, speak, and act in the world above without losing the gentle, eternal rhythm he had absorbed. The city's heartbeat was now part of him, a quiet reminder of patience, observation, and calm. Finally, he let the boat drift slowly toward the shore. Each movement, each wave, each soft reflection of sunlight on the water mirrored the streets, bridges, and gardens of the sunken city. And as he stepped onto land, the pulse remained within him, a steady, subtle, eternal heartbeat that would guide him through wakefulness, dreams, and every gentle moment in between. Arif turned once to look out over the vast, endless ocean. Beneath its waves, the sunken city of silence waited patiently, eternal and glowing, ready to share its pulse with anyone willing to slow down, breathe, and listen. And as he walked into the world above, he carried that pulse within him, a quiet, steady rhythm, a lullaby of time, memory, and calm, slow enough to guide him into sleep whenever he wished. And so the story ends, with Arif awake, yet forever carrying the sunken city of silence within, the pulse, the calm, the eternal rhythm, and the quiet, infinite wonder that will remain with him always. Even after stepping onto the shore, Arif felt the pulse of the sunken city of silence flowing through him. It was no longer tied to the waves, no longer only beneath the ocean, it had become a quiet companion inside him, subtle and steady, a rhythm he could feel with every heartbeat. He walked slowly along the sand, letting his bare feet sink gently into the soft grains. Each step matched the slow, deliberate pulse that had guided him beneath the waves, a calm reminder of patience, observation, and quiet presence. The world above the ocean, the soft rustle of morning breeze, the gentle lapping of water at the shore, the distant cry of a seabird, seemed imbued with the city's rhythm. Arif closed his eyes, listening to the whisper of the depths beneath the waves. Even though the sunken city remained hidden, its heartbeat echoed faintly through the ocean, reaching him as a soft, eternal lullaby. The pulse was steady, comforting, and infinite, carrying the lessons of the city gently into his mind. He imagined the crystal chambers, the floating orbs, the luminous gardens, and the silent watchers. Each detail floated softly, like a memory suspended in the slow rhythm of the city, now fully woven into his consciousness. The lessons of patience, mindfulness, and quiet observation had become a part of him, guiding every thought, every breath, and every movement. Arif allowed himself to drift in this reflective state, feeling the city's pulse flow through his body. The sun rose higher, casting warm, golden light across the shoreline, yet the rhythm remained unbroken, steady, soft, and eternal. He realized that the sunken city's calm was not limited to the ocean or the dream, it existed in every quiet moment he chose to notice, every slow breath, every gentle heartbeat. The waves lapped rhythmically at his feet, echoing the pulse he carried within. He imagined the city's towers shimmering faintly beneath the water, the streets glowing softly, the bridges spanning silent canals, the gardens alive with gentle light. And in this vision, he understood fully, the city was not only beneath the waves, it lived in anyone who listened, who slowed down, who allowed the rhythm to guide them. As he sat on the sand, eyes closed, Arif surrendered fully to the pulse. Thoughts became whispers, worries faded, and time seemed to stretch infinitely, measured only by the gentle rhythm flowing through him. Each breath was a wave, each heartbeat a bridge, each quiet moment a plaza glowing softly with memory and calm. He drifted further into this meditative state, letting the sunken city of silence carry him gently. The pulse was everywhere now, in the sand, in the breeze, in the distant horizon, and in the quiet corners of his mind. He was no longer just Arif, he was rhythm, pulse, and stillness, moving through time in perfect, infinite harmony. And as the world around him continued in gentle, ordinary motion, he felt completely at peace. The sunken city of silence remained eternal beneath the waves, yet its heartbeat now lived fully within him, a slow, steady, infinite guide. Arif closed his eyes completely, surrendering to the calm, allowing the pulse to carry him gently, softly, endlessly, into sleep and dream. Arif lay back on the soft sand, the gentle waves brushing rhythmically against the shore. The sunken city of silence pulsed within him, steady, slow, eternal. Its heartbeat had merged with his own, flowing through every cell, every breath, every thought. Time no longer mattered. Past, present, and future had dissolved into a single, infinite now. He closed his eyes and felt himself floating, not on the water, not in the sand, but within the pulse itself. The city stretched endlessly beneath the waves, streets and plazas glowing faintly, gardens alive with soft light, towers rising in perfect stillness. Every detail, every shimmer, every whisper of memory was part of the rhythm, part of him. The stars above reflected on the ocean, twinkling gently like distant echoes of the city's glow. Arif felt the pulse extend beyond the waves, beyond his body, reaching into the sky, into the distant cosmos, into the quiet corners of dream. He was no longer separate. He was rhythm, light, and stillness, flowing endlessly. Crystal orbs floated softly in his mind, each one carrying centuries of memory, of lives preserved in gentle calm. Silent watchers moved slowly at the edges of perception, not as observers, but as companions, guiding him through the infinite pulse of the city. Bridges, streets, gardens, towers, all merged into a single, glowing rhythm, carrying him deeper into serenity. Arif breathed slowly, each inhale a wave, each exhale a gentle pulse. He felt the city beneath him, the ocean around him, the stars above him, and the heartbeat within him, all in perfect harmony. There was no urgency, no worry, no need to move. Only the slow, eternal rhythm of life, memory, and calm. Time stretched. Thoughts faded. The gentle rocking of the waves, the shimmer of the city, the soft glow of the stars, and the eternal pulse of the sunken city merged into one endless, soothing flow. Arif became entirely present, entirely calm, entirely part of the eternal rhythm. The sunken city of silence remained beneath the waves, patient, eternal, glowing softly. Its heartbeat had become part of Arif, and through him, it flowed into every quiet moment of the world above, every gentle breath, every soft reflection, every slow heartbeat. The lessons of patience, mindfulness, and reverence for time were now inseparable from him, guiding him gently into sleep. As he surrendered completely, the city, the ocean, the stars, and his own pulse became one. He drifted into perfect stillness, floating in infinite calm, carried by the eternal rhythm of the sunken city of silence. And in that pulse, there was only peace, only presence, only gentle, infinite wonder. Arif's eyes remained closed. The world faded softly. The city glowed beneath the waves, eternal and patient. And the pulse, slow, steady, endless, would remain with him forever, guiding every dream, every quiet moment, every gentle breath, into the calm of infinite sleep. The night stretched quietly around Arif, the gentle waves lapping softly at the shore. His body rested, but his consciousness flowed freely in the rhythm of the sunken city of silence. The pulse that had guided him through streets, plazas, gardens, and crystal chambers now expanded beyond thought, beyond breath, beyond time itself. He felt the city beneath the waves, not as a distant place, but as a living rhythm within him. Every heartbeat, every subtle movement, every gentle awareness echoed the calm that had lived in the city for centuries. The waves, the stars, the soft whisper of wind, all carried the same pulse, steady and eternal. Arif drifted within this rhythm, feeling himself dissolve into it slowly. The luminous gardens, the silent watchers, the floating crystal orbs, they existed as soft, glowing notes in a lullaby, a harmony of light and stillness that enveloped him completely. He felt no separation, no distance, only the gentle continuity of the eternal pulse flowing through everything. The ocean, once a boundary, now became a continuation of the city. Waves shimmered with the soft glow of the crystal chambers, the sway of the boat became the rhythm of the streets, the stars reflected the garden's soft luminescence. Every element of the world around him harmonized perfectly with the pulse he carried within. Thoughts came slowly, then faded, replaced by a profound sense of presence. Arif's consciousness flowed freely, following the pulse like a gentle current. Time no longer measured itself, minutes, hours, and moments merged into a single, endless rhythm, as calm and infinite as the city itself. He imagined wandering silently through streets of light and shadow, across bridges that shimmered faintly, past plazas glowing softly, into gardens that breathed gentle luminescence. The city was alive, not in noise or motion, but in pulse, rhythm, and stillness, a living meditation, eternal and patient. Arif felt himself merge completely with the sunken city, the ocean, and the stars above. The pulse was everywhere, in the gentle sway of the waves, in the shimmer of moonlight on water, in the soft glow of imagined gardens beneath the waves. He became rhythm itself, a part of the infinite, slow heartbeat that stretched through time and space. Every inhale and exhale aligned perfectly with the pulse, every subtle movement echoed the calm of centuries preserved beneath the waves. There was nothing to hurry toward, nothing to change, nothing to worry about. Only the infinite rhythm, carrying him gently, softly, endlessly. The sunken city of silence remained eternal beneath the waves, glowing softly, patient and calm. Its heartbeat, now fully intertwined with Arif, flowed into every quiet corner of his consciousness. The rhythm continued without pause, a lullaby that would remain in him forever, guiding him gently through dreams, sleep, and every serene moment yet to come. And so, Arif drifted deeper into the pulse, fully surrendered, fully calm, carried endlessly by the eternal, infinite rhythm of the sunken city of silence. Time, thought, and movement all merged into one slow, gentle heartbeat. The city, the ocean, and the stars existed as one, and Arif was completely, perfectly part of it. Arif floated gently, his body resting on the soft, swaying waves, but his consciousness had merged entirely with the pulse of the sunken city of silence. The rhythm that had guided him through streets, crystal chambers, glowing gardens, and silent plazas now flowed freely through every part of him. It was steady, eternal, and infinite. He felt the city beneath the waves as more than a place, it was a presence, a living, breathing rhythm that stretched outward, merging with the ocean, the sky, and the stars above. Every subtle vibration of the waves, every shimmer of light, every soft breath of wind carried the pulse, steady, slow, and perfect. Arif let himself drift completely within it, feeling the rhythm extend beyond the boundaries of his mind. The streets, towers, bridges, and gardens of the city shimmered gently, not as solid structures but as waves of calm and light. The crystal orbs floated softly in his awareness, glowing faintly, carrying centuries of memory, wisdom, and stillness. Time had no meaning here. Each heartbeat, each wave, each breath merged into the eternal pulse, a rhythm that could stretch endlessly, past minutes, hours, and days. Arif felt no separation between himself and the city, between ocean and sky, between dream and wakefulness. He was part of it all, flowing with the pulse, one with the eternal calm. The watchers, silent and patient, no longer felt separate, they were soft presences at the edge of awareness, guiding gently without motion or demand. Every element of the sunken city, the glowing plazas, the quiet bridges, the luminescent gardens, had merged into a single, perfect, slow rhythm that Arif now carried fully within him. Breath and heartbeat aligned perfectly with the eternal pulse. Each inhale was a wave, each exhale a bridge, each subtle motion a soft shimmer of light. The sunken city, the ocean, and the stars above became one seamless flow, and Arif was immersed completely in their gentle, infinite rhythm. All thoughts slowed, then faded, leaving only the pulse, steady, calm, and eternal. Every sensation, every reflection of light, every subtle sound of water became part of the rhythm. Arif was no longer a separate observer, he was rhythm itself, flowing endlessly with the city beneath the waves and the infinite calm above. The ocean rocked him gently, the stars shimmered softly, and the city beneath the waves pulsed eternally. And as he drifted deeper into this infinite calm, the boundaries of self, place, and time dissolved completely. Only the pulse remained, steady, eternal, infinite, softly guiding him into the deepest state of sleep, beyond thought, beyond worry, beyond everything except perfect, endless calm. Arif surrendered fully to the rhythm, letting the pulse carry him without effort. The sunken city of silence, the ocean, and the stars all merged into one gentle, endless heartbeat. He became one with the eternal calm, flowing freely in the infinite rhythm, completely safe, completely serene, completely at peace. And so, drifting into the infinite calm, Arif's journey continued without end, carried forever by the steady, slow, eternal heartbeat of the sunken city of silence, soft, gentle, infinite, and perfectly still. Arif floated silently on the gentle waves, the sunken city of silence resting beneath him like a heartbeat hidden deep in the ocean. Its rhythm flowed through him, steady and eternal, carrying centuries of calm, patience, and quiet wisdom. He had wandered its streets, walked its bridges, seen the glowing gardens, and touched the crystal chambers. Every lesson, every pulse, was now part of him. Yet, as the first faint glow of dawn touched the horizon, a subtle shift rippled through the water. The pulse he carried within him seemed to deepen, stretching farther, vibrating with a quiet urgency that he had not felt before. A whisper of movement beneath the waves, faint but undeniable, tugged at his awareness. The city had been patient, eternal, and silent, but something else stirred within its depths. Arif closed his eyes and let the rhythm guide him, sensing a presence unlike any he had encountered in the city. Not a watcher, not a guardian, not a memory, but something alive hidden waiting. The crystal chambers glimmered faintly in his mind, their soft light pulsing with a subtle intensity he had never noticed. The city, it seemed, held a secret yet unrevealed. His heartbeat matched the city's pulse, yet beneath it a slower, deeper rhythm thrummed almost like a question, echoing through the waters below. Arif could feel it vibrating in his chest, in the swell of the waves, in the distant shimmer of the horizon. The sunken city had shared its calm, its lessons, its eternal rhythm, but now it hinted at something more, something just beyond reach. The silent streets, the glowing plazas, the luminous gardens, all seemed to pulse in response, as if the city itself was preparing to reveal a hidden truth. Arif drifted above it, sensing the faint outlines of structures he had never explored, of places concealed beneath centuries of quiet water. The pulse grew more insistent, yet it was calm, gentle, inviting him to return to discover what had remained unseen. And in that moment Arif realized something extraordinary: the city's pulse, its eternal rhythm, was not the only secret beneath the waves. Something ancient, something alive, something waiting had lain in silence for centuries, hidden even from those who had walked its streets. The waves whispered softly against his boat, the stars shimmered faintly above, and the horizon glowed with quiet anticipation. Arif's heart beat in perfect harmony with the sunken city, but the deeper rhythm beneath it called him softly, irresistibly, with a mystery that could not yet be named. He opened his eyes and looked at the endless water before him, knowing that the city's calm, eternal pulse was only the beginning. Something deeper, something hidden, something waiting to be discovered, lay beneath the silence. And he would return. He had to. And there, floating on the quiet sea, Arif felt the weight of anticipation, the gentle pull of a secret yet unrevealed. The sunken city of silence had shared its lessons, its rhythm, its eternal calm, but a mystery remained, deeper, older, and far more powerful than anything he had experienced. And so the story rests, for now. The city waits. Its pulse beats steadily beneath the waves. And Arif, carrying the rhythm within him, senses that the next journey will reveal the hidden truth, the secret beneath the silence, the heartbeat that has slept for centuries. The waves lap softly. The stars twinkle faintly. The city waits. And you, dear listener, are invited to return, to drift again, to discover what lies beneath the sunken city of silence. So guys, how did you feel about tonight's story? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss any of our upcoming bedtime histories. Stay well, stay safe, and good night.